Hi, my name is Karen Dittman, and my husband and I together wrote a couple of books. One is about to be published, Thriving in Grace, Unleashing Wellness from a Biblical Perspective. And the other is a journal called The Fruit of Gratitude. So I am really excited to welcome you to the presentation today about the grace cycle, practical tips to transform your prayer life. Today, I'll be diving into a powerful 5 step cycle that can help you grow in your faith, strengthen your prayer life, and find peace even in the midst of unanswered prayers. I'll explore some ways that we respond to God when our prayers are going unanswered, and I'll talk about how to correct some very common mistakes we make in praying. I want to offer you some practical strategies and insights to help you navigate the challenges you may be facing in your prayer life. So let's dive into this. And I also just want to get something out of the way right up front because you might be thinking, is she going to try to sell me something? And the answer is yes, I am. I'll talk about this more later. There is an offer I'll have at the end. You are welcome if you want to just drop out at any point. If you feel like you've received what you need, great. But I just want to let you know it's under $100. So but I just want to give you that so you're not continuing to wonder, oh my gosh, where is this going? I'm also going to offer you a free gift that is worth $50 that can help you go even further in transforming your prayer life. So pay attention to that when we get later on. So just a few logistics. If you could turn your camera on, that helps me to see you and see um, how my points are landing. And if you happen to see me looking up, it's because I'm doing a two-screen thing. So I've got Zoom up here, but trying to look at you here through my other screen. And love to hear your feedback. If you are live, please make comments in the chat. And if you are watching this as a replay later, you are welcome to send me an email with any questions that come up as you're listening to this. I'm happy to respond to you. So let's get in. I'll also have time at the end of the session for some questions, but also, again, you can email me with any questions you might have. So jumping in, I want to share today about how the grace cycle, which is the centerpiece of the book Thriving in Grace, is the single most powerful tool you can use to transform your prayer life and strengthen your faith, even when you're faced with unanswered prayers. So, why is the grace cycle important for you, especially if you feel stuck or disconnected in prayer? I want to share with you 5 compelling reasons. The first reason is that the grace cycle provides a structured framework for growth. The reality is, when we have a plan and when we are intentional, we are far more likely to follow our plan for growth as opposed to just being random and trying to make something happen without really understanding how to get there. You can have a clear path forward in your journey of faith and prayer using the grace cycle, and that will make it easier for you to become aware of your progress and to stay motivated to keep going. The second reason is that the grace cycle emphasizes gratitude and celebration. Again, reality tells us that gratitude and celebrating our wins help us build confidence to make changes in our lives because we're telling our mind, I've done this before, I can do this in the future. So you can shift your focus away from what is lacking to what has already been provided. And this can help foster a deeper sense of peace and contentment in your life. The grace cycle encourages community support. This is the third reason. The American Psychological Association did a study in 2023 where they found that having a strong support system increases resilience in the midst of challenges by 40%. So, when you can lean on others for encouragement, accountability, and prayer, that can make your journey more sustainable, more impactful. It can help you to grow. when you're surrounded by others who are supporting you instead of trying to go it alone. The fourth reason is that the grace cycle promotes acceptance. Acceptance is one of the key steps of this cycle. And I have found as I've lived this and learned it, that accepting the past is the best way to move forward. No one can change the past unless you've invented a time machine, in which case, would you share it with me so I can use it, please? But I don't think anybody has. So we can't change what has already happened. But today, you can make a new choice of how you're going to live from here moving forward. And this will help you gain greater peace and trust in God's plan for your life. And the fifth reason is that the grace cycle cultivates a mindset of surrender and trust. One of the most commonly quoted verses from the Bible that I've often heard is Proverbs 3:5, where God calls us to trust Him in all things and promises to lead us as we trust Him. I love how this is stated in the Passion Translation. It says, "Trust in the Lord completely and do not rely on your own opinions. With all your heart, rely on Him to guide you, and He will lead you in every decision you make." So when you can release control over your circumstances and the outcomes, this will allow God to work in your life in ways that you may not have anticipated. So just to sum all of that up, the grace cycle offers you a proven framework for growth. It encourages gratitude and celebration. It provides community support. It promotes self-awareness and acceptance. And it cultivates a mindset of surrender and trust. And when you can incorporate the grace cycle into your prayer life, you can experience transformation and strengthen your faith even when faced with unanswered prayers. So I want to make sure you know that this is for you. If you're feeling disconnected from God and are questioning His presence in your life, this session is definitely for you. I'll be sharing some practical tips on how to strengthen your faith and trust in God even when your prayers seem unanswered. If you're struggling with how to pray effectively and in alignment with God's will, this is what you'll need. I'll be discussing ways to deepen your relationship with God and improve your prayer life. If you're finding it difficult to trust God's timing and plan for your life, this session will offer you insights on how to navigate through those challenges and find peace in the uncertainty. If you're dealing with feelings of disappointment and discouragement, I'll provide you with some tools to help you overcome those emotions and find comfort in God's grace. And if you're struggling to surrender control and rely on God, this will offer you guidance on how to let go and trust in God's plan for your life. No matter what challenges you may be facing, whether it includes a desire to strengthen your faith, find peace in unanswered prayer, deepen your relationship with God, this session will be powerful information for you. And I'm here to guide you through transforming your prayer life and finding peace in unanswered prayers. So, you might be asking at this point, Karen, why should I pay attention to you? Well, I'll be honest, this is personal for me because I've experienced the frustration and discouragement of praying and praying and praying and not seeing the answers I hoped for. So I want to be a source of encouragement and guidance for other women who may be going through similar struggles. I'm committed to helping you achieve the bold promise of finding peace in unanswered prayers. I've been there, and that's why I'd like to be the person to guide and support you in this area. There was a time when my life was filled with fear, uncertainty, and constant worry. My daughter's struggle with addiction consumed my thoughts and prayers every single day. I was desperate for answers and solutions. I was awake in the middle of the night, praying and imagining all the worst possible scenarios, trying to ask God to change things, but nothing seemed to be working. I felt helpless, so I prayed and prayed and prayed, and I asked everyone I knew to pray with me for her recovery. A turning point came for me when a dear friend shared a new perspective. She challenged me to surrender my daughter to God completely, just like Abraham did with his son Isaac. This was one of the hardest things I ever had to do as a mom, but it was also the most freeing. I realized that I needed to let go of my own plans and trust in God's purpose for my daughter's life. So, with the guidance of a therapist who specialized in supporting families of people dealing with addiction, I began to shift my focus from constant worry and prayers for my daughter to supporting my family and taking care of myself. I started attending Naranon meetings where I could connect with others who were facing similar challenges. I stopped trying to control the outcome and instead focused on being present for my loved ones who needed me to be present. The journey wasn't easy, and I often questioned whether I was doing the right thing. But through it all, I learned the power of surrender and trust in God's plan. Today, I can look back and see how God worked through the pain and the struggles to bring about healing and transformation in my daughter's life. But even more important, God changed me. And I found a much closer relationship with Him, a greater sense of peace and joy, even in the midst of the storm. This journey to finding peace in the midst of my unanswered prayers was a challenging one, but I learned valuable lessons about resilience, faith, and the power of surrender. So now today I can stand here with a heart full of gratitude, knowing that God's grace carried me through the darkest times and brought me to a place of peace and hope. I'd like to share with you some stories from other women I have worked with, just to show you a sense of what's possible when you embrace the grace cycle, the approach that I'm going to share with you. So there was Annette. Annette was struggling with her prayer life. She felt inconsistent and she felt overwhelmed with the needs of people that she was praying for regularly. So Annette and I met on a pretty regular basis for about a year. And as we met, I was able to help her see things from a different perspective. And I was able to offer her some simple suggestions that she was able to implement. And now Annette's prayer life is far more consistent, and she has learned to surrender things to God that she wrestled with for years. She even told me, I'm a lot more patient now. Another woman is Misty, who was a new Christian. She was struggling to get back on her feet after a difficult divorce. And while she was really close to God and soaking up so much as she was reading the Bible and learning everything she could, she still needed to make sense of everything that was going on in her life. So Misty attended a retreat that I hosted. And on this one weekend, we walked step by step through the grace cycle. And now Misty has an even closer relationship with God, and her prayers are filled with confidence, and she clearly senses where God is leading her in life. So when you think about the changes that I've been able to achieve and Annette and Misty have been able to experience in their lives, you might be wondering, why aren't more people getting this kind of experience in their life? So I'll be flat out honest with you. There are three big mistakes that I see people make over and over again in their prayer life. So I'm going to share with you these three mistakes and what you can do about them. If you are watching this right now and you're not already taking notes, this could be a good time to grab a pen and a piece of paper and write down these things. I'm going to kind of go through this fairly quickly. But the mistakes, three big mistakes, and what you can do to avoid them. So the first mistake is praying harder. Sometimes you might believe that praying harder will guarantee that your prayers will be answered. Trying to exert more effort, more energy in your prayers, and thinking that the quantity or intensity of your prayers will make a difference in how God responds. Unfortunately, praying harder can lead to burnout, feelings of inadequacy, and a sense of disconnect or distance from God. And it can result in frustration and disappointment when your prayers aren't answered as you expect. In fact, I recently heard some research that said that the biggest predictor of burnout is not so much working hard, but working hard and being disappointed. So, repeated disappointments as you're continuing to pray harder can lead to this feeling of burnout. So, to avoid this mistake, some things you can do, some steps you can take include focusing on trust and surrender, understanding the power of a sincere prayer, just opening your heart and your desire and laying it before God, and cultivating a deep relationship with God through prayer. So, thinking about a little more about how to cultivate that deep relationship with God, this is key to strengthening your faith and trust in God. And it's as simple as just taking time to have conversations with God in prayer, sharing with Him your thoughts, your feelings, even if you feel like He already knows, talk to Him about it, and then just take time to rest and listen what He has to say. So, avoiding this mistake of praying harder can help you experience a deeper sense of peace and trust in God's plan to avoid the burnout and inadequacy in your prayer life and strengthen your relationship with God through truly authentic and heartfelt prayers, conversations, communication. So, the second mistake is praying more. You might believe that if you pray more frequently, that will increase the likelihood of your prayer being answered. And many of us have been taught about a parable that Jesus shared where he said there was a woman who, a widow, in fact, who was looking for resolution from a judge who was unjust. And so she kept coming to this judge over and over and over until he got worn out and he's like, okay, fine, I'll just do for her what she wants. The problem with this is that one, God is not an unjust judge, but also we can make the mistake of believing that the quantity of our prayers and just a sheer number of prayers will lead to the desired outcome. So when we focus on praying more in order to get God's attention, that can actually detract from our trust in God. This can result in feeling overwhelmed, disconnected, and disheartened when prayers seem unanswered, especially if you start to question God's goodness in this. So, to avoid this mistake, some things that you can do include shifting your focus from quantity to quality in your prayers, embracing authenticity in your prayers, and trusting in God's timing. So, when you can shift your focus from quantity and quality, what does that look like? I, I would recommend that you really shift your focus to experiencing the presence of God in your prayer time. This might look like simply being quiet and still and being present to God who is with you at all times, looking for His face, feeling His love, shifting in your prayer time to this kind of focus on just being with God in His presence. This can lead to a much more meaningful and authentic prayer life. And when you avoid the mistake of praying more, you can cultivate a deeper sense of connection and intimacy with God through your prayers. You can experience less overwhelm and less disheartenment in your prayer life and develop a stronger trust in God's timing and His plan. And then the third mistake is what I call praying strategically. This was my big mistake. Believing that praying strategically using specific formulas or methods or getting more people to pray with you will ensure that your prayers are answered. This is trying to manipulate or control the outcome of your prayers through strategic approaches. But relying on strategic prayer techniques like this can lead to a lack of authenticity and genuine connection with God. It can also result in a sense of disillusionment because your prayers become more about your tactics than your faith. This was such a big one for me when I realized that I felt like if I could get enough people on my side praying with me, that God would have to do what I wanted. And I was trying to control this and manipulate it. So, to avoid this mistake, some things that you can do include practicing authenticity in your prayer, trusting in God's grace, and shifting your focus from tactics to faith. Thinking a little more deeply about authenticity in prayer, simply sharing your true thoughts and feelings with God can lead to a genuine and vulnerable prayer life. Again, yes, we know in our heads that He already knows, but it's really important for us to simply open our hearts to God and open our minds and admit to ourselves and to God what's really going on inside, being vulnerable before God. So when you avoid this mistake of praying strategically, you can develop a deeper sense of authenticity and vulnerability in your relationship with God, experience greater trust in God's grace and His plan, and cultivate a stronger faith that's rooted in trust instead of manipulation. So, the solution to all of these mistakes is found in the grace cycle, which is the centerpiece of my new book, Thriving in Grace. This is a proven structure. I have been living it for years. And this is how it works. It's a cycle. It's a circular that you can visualize it as a circle so that you're cycling through this throughout the course of life. So the first step is I call identify. You'll identify an area where you want to see changes in your life. And when you can identify areas for change, that allows you to focus your prayers and your efforts on specific areas of growth. The second step is acceptance, where you will explore the story of how you got to where you are today. Then you choose to accept and surrender to God. When you can accept and surrender to God's plan, and when you can accept what has happened in the past, this can help you find a sense of peace and then clarity so that you can move forward into the next step, which I call one simple change. You'll choose one simple, not necessarily easy, but a simple, small change to make in your life. Because making small changes can lead to big transformations in your life and your faith. I like to think of it this way. I might be heading this direction in my life, but one day I take a step, just a small step in a different direction. And it might not feel big, but as I walk on further and further, my path changes and I end up in a completely different place than I would have been going before. One simple change can make a huge difference in your life. The fourth step is finding support. You need to connect with a supportive community to help you as you're continuing to make progress in this area of your life. And having a supportive community can provide the encouragement, accountability, and understanding as you navigate through the challenges. And the fifth step, the fifth part of the grace cycle is celebrate. We thank God and we celebrate the wins and the good things that have happened. We pause to recognize the progress that we have made and we celebrate with our friends, with our supportive community. This is such a huge, important thing because I mentioned this before, but when we recognize and celebrate our wins from the past, and when we remember God's faithfulness in the past, that helps strengthen our faith and it helps us recognize I've already done something challenging and different and I can do more. It really helps us to walk forward into the future when we can celebrate the past, the wins from the past. So, thinking about the grace cycle, I worked with Annette, who I mentioned earlier, and I showed her how to apply the grace cycle in her life. She learned some really big lessons in how she prayed. And recently, she had a situation with a family member that was extremely worrisome. But Annette was able to approach her prayers for that situation with far more surrender and peace. The good news is that her family is beginning to see hope for resolution in this situation. But she's continuing to pray from a place of trust rather than from trying to control the outcome. And I mentioned this also myself in my relationship with my daughter. It was so hard to surrender her and walk away from her choices. But I learned to experience peace and trust, and I did see God answer my prayers. That doesn't mean that surrender will inherently give us the answer to the prayers. I'm happy that we are in a place where things are good. It's not the end of the story, it's still the middle of the story, but we are continuing to walk together in a restored and renewed relationship where I'm not trying to control her and she is making progress in her life. And I am far more at peace regardless of what the future holds for either of us. So I'm aware I've been talking for a half hour. You might still have a lot of questions, such as how can I better understand and accept God's timing and plan for my life? What practical steps can I take to strengthen my faith and trust in God? How can I cultivate a deeper and more authentic prayer life? What resources or tools can help me stay faithful in my walk with God? How can I navigate through feelings of disappointment and discouragement in my prayer life? What strategies can I use to surrender control and rely on God more fully? How do I even know if I'm praying in alignment with God's will? What can I do to feel more reassured and hopeful in the face of unanswered prayers? So here's the thing. I've got maybe another half hour left here. And those are a lot of questions. And you may even have some other questions that are coming up. So you've got two options. The first is you can just take this information I've already shared with you. You can take the information about the grace cycle, identify your own mistakes, what you're doing, and you can work on implementing all of this on your own. And I believe there's a good bit of information that'll help you. But there is another option, and that is to spend a few hours with me to help you get to where you'd like to go. So, what I want to introduce you today is a workshop I'm hosting on Saturday, October 12th, called Resilient Faith Finding Peace in Unanswered Prayers. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about this workshop. And even if you're just interested or curious to learn a little bit more about how this might help you when your prayers are not feeling like they're being answered. Um, Another core benefit of this workshop is going to be that it will help you to identify and overcome your challenges so you can find peace and trust in God's. So before I move on any further, let me ask you a question. What would it be worth for you to find peace and resilience even if your prayers remain unanswered? I mean, you could go to counseling for at least $100 a session. These days, that seems like a bargain to pay $100 a session for therapy. Or you could read lots of books. You could be seeking your own research. You can dive into Bible study and spend a lot of time. But what if 3 hours on a Saturday morning could help you now learn a new level of surrender and trust? How much would you pay for that? I want you to just kind of pop a number in your head and think about that. I would love if you could tell me how much you would pay for that. I really am honestly curious. So here's what we're going to do. On Saturday morning it's 9 to noon Mountain Time. I'll reiterate that so you don't have to, like, if you're in a different time zone, figure all of that out yet. But so the workshop, Resilient Faith Workshop, is based on the grace cycle. And the way we're going to do is actually we'll kind of start because it's a cycle. So we're going to start at the end. We're going to start with celebrating by thanking God for prayers that He's answered in the past. As far as identifying, we'll kind of already have identified that my prayer life and feeling stuck when prayers are not answered is the area we're going to work on. We'll take some time to explore in acceptance, exploring the story of where we are and how we got here. We're going to do some things to help us walk a little deeper into acceptance and surrender. And then the next step, one simple change. So we'll choose one simple change to make in our prayer life. We will connect with supportive community, and I'll help you identify supportive community that will help you as you continue to make progress in your prayer life. So here's what's going to be included very practically. We're going to meet for 3 hours on Saturday. There will be about 2.5 hours of teaching in that, and we'll have some live not one-on-one because we should have a group, but we'll have live interaction and prayer with each other. And I will offer you feedback. You can ask me whatever questions. We can pray together. So there's going to be, face to face over Zoom, live interaction. I'm going to invite you into the Thriving in Grace community, which is a growing Facebook community group that is a place where you can find others who are walking through the grace cycle as well. I will also give you a workbook, the Praying in Grace workbook, where you can take notes and you can have things that you can refer back to in the future. So you don't have to try to hold it all in your head. And so you might be wondering how much it's going to cost. And I want to also first share with you some free bonuses that I'm going to throw in with it too. So there are 3 bonuses. The first is prayer journal prompts. So this bonus is worth about $30, and I've designed it to help you enhance your prayer life by reflecting on your thoughts and emotions in a structured way. This can help you deepen your connection with God as you're pouring out your heart and find peace and clarity as you're seeking His presence in your life. The next bonus you'll get is a meditation process I've developed called Release My Burdens to God. So this is valued at $40. This bonus will guide you through a process to help you release the burdens from your unanswered prayers to God. You'll experience the presence of Jesus, practice surrendering your cares and worries, and we will walk through this in the course of the session on Saturday. And I will give you a link to a YouTube video so you have a resource again that you can go back to whenever you need it. And then finally, a bonus that I want to offer is a bonus prayer session valued at $90. So this will be an opportunity to connect with others from the Saturday morning session in a future group prayer session. We'll be able to build community, celebrate any answered prayers, and gain encouragement as we walk together waiting on God. So how much is this all going to cost? You might think, well, if I could pay over $100 for an hour of counseling, so maybe 3 hours, that'd be worth $300 or so. If you're working with me one-on-one for 6 months, previously I've charged $1,350 or $225 a month. But this session on Saturday morning isn't going to cost anywhere near that. It's actually all of these things I've mentioned are a value of like $599. So the price I'm charging for this 3-hour workshop is $79. And you might be wondering why I'm going to do this. Well, the reality is, as I'm launching the book, Thriving in Grace, I really want to be able to show how the grace cycle is effective in transforming the prayer lives of other Christian women. So by offering this deal, I want to help create more success stories. I want to help you. And I believe you can help me by sharing with me how the grace cycle can help you create the resilience and faith in the face of your unanswered prayers. And so I would love to be able to have some stories that I can share with others, just like Annette and Misty allowed me to share their stories. You might be wondering, is there a catch? Yeah, here's the catch. I'm not sure if I'm going to offer this workshop again. Right now, I'm in a space of waiting on the book to be ready for publication. But once it's ready, I'm going to be diving deep into promoting the book, Thriving in Grace. And honestly, I don't know when I'll have another 3 hours on a Saturday morning to do this specific workshop on resilient faith. And also, I'm very aware that the grace cycle can help people through so many other areas of life. So if I do future workshops, they could be on different subjects, still using the grace cycle, but working through different areas where people are stuck. So as far as I know, this is a one-time deal. You can do this with me this Saturday, but there might not be an opportunity to do it again. So if you remember at the beginning of this video, I said I'd let you know about a special free gift for you and how you can get it. So um, there is a very limited time bonus that will go away by the end of the day on Wednesday, October 9th. Because I believe strongly that getting off the fence is key to moving forward in life. And also, you might feel like you've been struggling with wanting to control a situation you're praying over and you can't control it. Here's something you can take control of: your own choice to change how you're praying, your own choice to change how you're choosing to surrender to God. So, this will offer you some additional support and personalized strategies to break free from your old habits, doubts, and disappointments. So, the first two people who sign up for the Resilient Faith workshop are going to receive a free 30-minute one on one session with me for personalized support, practical strategies to help you break free from your old habits, doubts, and disappointments. I'll help you dig a little bit deeper so you can look into the root causes of your struggles and learn how to overcome them. I'll give you some personalized action steps and tools to strengthen your prayer life and relationship with God so you can feel empowered, inspired, and equipped to embrace God's grace to transform your life with confidence and hope in the face of whatever is going on in your life. So again, this is a $50 value bonus, and it is only available through the end of the day today, Wednesday, October 9th, for the first two people who sign up. So if you are one of those first two people who sign up, I will send you an email and say, yep, you're in for that extra bonus. So all you need to do is choose to sign up for the Resilient Faith Workshop. I'm about to pop the link into the chat for you, and then we'll move on. So I'll cover a few questions, kind of hit some FAQs. I'm going to be finished here in just about 5 minutes. In fact, I'm going to set a timer on my phone right now. So go to my timer, 5 minutes. So you see, we're counting down. When that timer's done, I'm done. So here is the link in the chat, and I will include it with this recording too. So what is the deadline to take advantage of this offer? You know what? I am going to be sending out some more emails over the next couple of days about this workshop, but hey, we're starting on Saturday morning. So I would love to see people signed up by Friday night, but even early Saturday morning, you can still sign up. But there's only a couple days to put this up there to get in. So another question you might have: what exactly is this offer? What exactly is this workshop? Can I explain it one more time? Yes, here's what we've got. Everything that you'll get through the Resilient Faith workshop, Finding Peace in Unanswered Prayers. There'll be 2.5 hours of grace guided teaching. That'll be me live over Zoom. We'll have interaction and prayer time throughout the workshop. You'll be added to the Thriving in Grace Facebook community. You'll also receive the Praying in Grace workshop, and all of that is valued at $439. And then these bonuses worth $160, the prayer journal prompts, a curated collection of thought-provoking journal prompts to help you explore your feelings, doubts, and hopes through prayer. This bonus is worth $30, and it's yours absolutely free when you take up this offer. You'll get Release My Burdens to God, which is a meditation. During the workshop, we'll walk through this process to help you release the burdens of your unanswered prayers right now to God. And then I'll also send you a link to a video of the meditation process so you can access it at any time. This bonus is valued at $40, again, included no extra costs when you sign up for the workshop. And finally, the bonus prayer session. So I'll schedule another group time where we can check in together with one another and pray together over our requests. This bonus is valued at $90, and it's another great addition to what you're already receiving through the workshop, where we continue to stay in touch with each other. So altogether, that's valued at over $599, and you can get it for one payment of $79. So I've put the link in the chat for the Resilient Prayer Workshop. So a few other questions. I've got 2.5 minutes left. When is the workshop? Saturday, October 12th, 9 to 12 Mountain Time. So that is also starting at 8 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Another question, will there be a recording? All right, I'll be honest, you'll get the most benefit from attending this workshop live because of our interaction. However, I'll also say this, everybody who signs up and attends the workshop, I will send you a recording that I'll edit down so it doesn't include any personal discussions. So we're keeping things private and confidential that need to be kept private and confidential for a safe space in this workshop. But if you just aren't available to attend the session live, but you still want to learn how to apply the grace cycle to your prayer life, then you can purchase the recording and I will set up a call with you to answer any questions that come up for you after you listen to it. And because that's going to take me some extra time, I'm going to charge a little bit more. So the recordings will be $129. And so that'll give you all of the information from the workshop plus an extra call with me one-on-one so we can talk about the principles and answer any questions you might have or help you overcome any specific areas where you're struggling. So I have got 48 seconds. So as this countdown timer, really, it's down to 40 seconds. So I'm going to just let you look at the link. Email me if you have any questions. So that is Karen at onefit.us if you've got any questions. And if you want to get that bonus 30-minute one-on-one session with me for free, go ahead and jump in as quickly as you can because I've only got space for 2 people to take advantage of that. So you'll get the Resilient Faith, Finding Peace in Unanswered Prayers 3-hour workshop, all of the bonuses, and it's just going to be $79. So go ahead. Oh, my timer's gone off. So all of that, I really am looking forward to seeing you on Saturday, October 12th for the Resilient Faith, Finding Peace in Unanswered Prayers workshop. I hope you have a great day. Email me if you have any questions after you listen to this, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.